Welcome into the Rob Bro Show. I am Rob Bro. I am the host. You are the co-host. You can co-host today by commenting on the starting line chat line. The starting line chat line brought to you by Starting Line Counseling. StartingLineCounseling.com for a free 15-minute consultation with Chase. If you're struggling, if you are down, if you just need some guidance, Starting Line Counseling can help you out. StartingLineCounseling.com. We're also in the Diversified Lenders studio. Carson, we got a Texas Tech game to recap. We've got a Texas Tech game to look forward to. We've got a national championship game to talk about. And it's Overreaction Monday. So hit me with an overreaction here to start. I did not prep you on that. But I'm giving you zero chance to think about it. Overreaction, go.
An overreaction, Tech will win 12 games in the Big 12.
12?
12. Winning in Austin makes you feel good, right? That's an overreaction.
Yeah, so we talked about going 500 before Austin.
Yeah.
If you flip that one, because you think that one might be a loss, they're ranked, you're not. They're at home, you're not in the Big 12. That generally strikes a loss. But that would be 10-8. So 12, I don't think is ridiculous. You have BYU not looking quite as good after their first
at home
game. You have Baylor and Oklahoma State looking different than you thought because that game went to overtime. But that Texas Tech game, we'll talk about it after I think we get to the national championship game. We'll start with that, but a lot of good things to see out of Austin there. All right, Overreaction Monday. Sticking with basketball, rank Texas Tech, you cowards. I think 62 votes, not enough to get onto the actual poll. I think they're 26th, 27th. The Gary Parrish top 26. Texas Tech was 26th. So they are getting some respect, but in real life, maybe not in overreaction world, in real life, don't rank them. Just keep them unranked as long as
that chip on their shoulder.
If you're not ranked week one, here's an overreaction. If you're not ranked in the preseason or week one in college basketball, it doesn't matter if you're ranked until the 1st of March. If you're ranked when they're doing the tournament stuff, it's fine if you're ranked. But if you don't start ranked, they don't look at it in January. Oh, were they ranked in January?
Yeah,
no. They heavily look at who's preseason ranked because I think that factors into what they do. But at the end, I don't think anyone cares, really.
Yeah. As long as you get a number 1 through a 16 in March, I could care less what you're ranked in January.
Yeah.
As long as you get a 1 through a 16 in March, don't care. That's all you should care about. Who cares about 1 through 25? Yeah.
And if you go 12 wins in the Big 12, that'll work itself.
Yeah, you're a top 4 seed at the very least, maybe top 3 seed.
Yeah, I think you need 14 wins to be a top 3 seed.
Yeah, that's fair. Because I think Kansas will end up with 14, 15 wins in the Big 12. I don't know that they'll run through the Big 12. Yeah.
With how you do the non-con, you were 14-4, won the Big 12 with Kansas State, and got a 3 seed.
Yeah.
So I think for Texas Tech, and I think this non-con was a little bit better, but I think it's going to end up being about the same as it's been.
Your 2 losses in the non-con will have to help you. Like Butler has to perform well in the Big East, so does Villanova.
And they haven't been. And Michigan needs to.
They haven't. No.
With
Michigan has to be a at least a middle of the road to a top tier Big Ten team, and I don't know that they're that this year. So that win doesn't look as good.
Not yet. But if you win, I don't know, 16, maybe you get your best seed ever. I think you're a long way from
that. If you go 16-2 in this conference, then you're looking at a
3 seed because that's all Texas Tech has ever done. They've been the 3 seed, I think, 3 or 4 times.
You know what? The 3 seed got you to a natty, so
it's true. And a couple of Sweet 16s.
So and a couple of Sweet 16s. Give us the 3 seed again.
Yeah, I would not complain with the 3 seed here. If after just hoping for a tournament appearance in year 1, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Again, it is Overreaction Monday. If you have
that's definitely overreactions.
You can drop it in the chat, not the Diversified Lenders chat line, the Starting Line chat line, right over there. I pointed the right way first time. The camera's mirrored. It's hard. All right, let's get into the national championship game. It is tonight. We were going to talk about it on the Gambling Gauchos yesterday. We forgot, so this is my first time talking about it. Carson, it's your first time as well on air. Who is going to win, and who do you like in the game?
Who do I like in the game?
Player wise, coach wise, whatever
This
you want
is
to go with there.
I mean, you can't root it. It's hard to pick against Jim Harbaugh because his teams prepare so well. I don't care what anybody says about the cheating stuff and all that. That's just a coach preparing more
Sure.
for me. Like, you could go sit the guy in the stand. You could buy a ticket, sit him in the stands. He's going to do the same thing. So
Right.
what if he's standing on the sideline? I don't care about all of that happened this year with Michigan. I just don't care. I'm a baseball guy. We sit there and try and steal signs from inning number 1 through inning number 8 if we can.
Yep.
So stealing signs is part of the game, man. If you're pissed off about it, then get better signs. I don't know what to tell you. Like, change it up a little bit. So Michigan didn't deserve any of what they got this year. Stupid to be upset about any of that stuff. Jim Harbaugh is just a better coach than you. Deal with it. But I like the way Michael Penix played the other day, man. I just thoroughly love the way Michael Penix is playing the game of football right now. He's got the best wide receiver in the country in Roma Dunze. He's got Jalen Polk, who played outstanding the other day against Texas. Their run game, you hope that Johnson is back. If he's not, the run game gets hurt a little bit. So that's a bit of a concern, especially against that Michigan front seven that they have in the box that they're probably going to put up against you, because they won't have to put much more. They're really good in their front four and their linebacking crew. Or their front three and their linebacking crew in that 3-4, 3-3-5 look defense sometimes. But on the flip side of that, Michigan against Washington's defense, like, I like Washington because Michigan doesn't throw the football. Washington's not a good pass defense. They do pretty well against the run.
Yeah.
And I just look at the Oregon games because Oregon threw the ball really well all year long. Bo Nix was really good all year. But Washington did things to mess with Bo Nix, and Bo Nix is a way better quarterback than McCarthy is. So I like Washington just overall. I like Michael Penix. He's the best quarterback by far in this game. I think Michael Penix can win you a football game just by himself, and not to mention that he has Roma Dunze on the outside to go get anything that he wants. And it helps to have a tight end game as well. We saw that late, converting on that 3rd and short, big time pickup right there on 3rd and short to keep the clock moving late in that game against Texas. So I like Washington. I don't know that the coaching. I think the only place that Michigan outplays Washington or outdoes anything against Washington is the coach wise. Head coach versus head coach. I think Kalen DeBoer isn't quite up as high as where Jim Harbaugh is. But
Well,
that's
that's
just because
one question
Harbaugh's been
too.
at it for longer.
When I
Yeah.
think, pass rush, you probably lean Michigan. Run game, you lean
Right.
Michigan.
Yeah.
But scoring, you would lean Washington. I know Michigan
Yeah.
scored a bunch this year, but I won't go into the bottom of the Big Ten versus the middle of the Pac-12. But
Right.
I just think that Michigan has had a schedule. Washington has had a schedule. They've played who they've played. Michigan obviously favored in this game. I think it opened at -4. It's at 5.5 currently, I think.
Yeah.
I would take
5.5.
I would take Washington plus 5.5, and I think I would take Washington money line. Let's say a close game, 38-34. I think these teams will score. I think there's no reason Michael Penix can't replicate what he did against Texas, against Michigan. I think Texas also has a really good front seven and really good pass rush, and Washington handled them. Penix was really good in the pocket and made some really good throws. I think Michigan's back end probably a little better than Texas, so
Yeah.
we'll see if he can make all the throws. But as you listed, those wide receivers, the tight end, the passing game, Penix, first one since Patrick Mahomes to get back-to-back 4,000-yard seasons. Heisman runner-up. Winner? Did he win the Heisman? Runner-up. Who won?
No, Jalen Daniels won the Heisman.
Oh, Jalen Daniels won the Heisman.
Jaden Daniels. Yeah. Yeah.
From
JD5.
LSU.
Yeah.
And then he didn't play the bowl game.
He's
Anyways,
gone.
Penix, Heisman runner-up. Man, how quickly we forget about the Heisman. Some people can do Heisman trivia. I would be terrible at the Heisman trivia.
Yeah. I'm not
Yeah,
good at it.
right.
I don't even
I
remember
have-
who won last year. Yeah, but and I go back to, if I were Washington, I don't know that I would watch the film of Michigan last week against Alabama. I would, obviously, because Alabama did some things, but I would go back and watch the film against TCU in the semifinal last year to see how TCU just dismantled and went after that offense, because it's the same exact offense, right? Same
Yeah.
quarterback, same running attack, pretty much the same offensive line group as they had last year at the University of Michigan. Um, and so for me, I go back and look at how TCU attacked that Michigan offense. Because if you can do that to a Michigan team, if you can get Michigan behind the eight ball, they're not a team that is built upon, coming back and storming back. Texas is a little bit built better for that. We saw it last week, obviously, almost coming back and winning a football game at the very end, partly because Washington tried to give it the football game at the very end to Texas. But I don't know that Michigan is that team. If Washington can get up a couple scores, I don't know that Michigan is the team that can chase and play catch up like Texas could last week. And the miscues by Washington, if you have those, especially muff punts, things like that, Michigan will convert. Michigan will go and score. If you can stop Blake Corum and limit Blake Corum's ability to get to the second level, where he's so good at breaking tackles at the second level and just making guys miss. You've got to be able to get TFLs. And when JJ McCarthy does go back to pass, you've got to bring pressure. You got to be able to get hands in his face, because that's where we see him make mistakes. We saw it in the first play of the game against Alabama last week in the Rose Bowl. McCarthy gets flushed out, and instead of just throwing the ball away, he throws a pick. He gets lucky because the guy had stepped from out of bounds to inbounds. He gets very lucky. Otherwise, that game probably not the same thing as what we saw. Michigan ended up going 4 and out or 3 and out and punting it, but Alabama would have had great field position right there. It changes completely. It's not the same as going 3 and out and punting. You get a turnover early, that gives everybody momentum. And it would have been a different game completely last week had that been the case. But yeah, if you can get pressure on McCarthy, he will make mistakes. We talked about it last week. He's a game manager. That's what JJ McCarthy is. He's not the guy that can go back there and win you a football game with his right arm. I think he's good. He's a good quarterback. He'll have a chance to play in the NFL. He's got good arm talent, but he's nowhere near the talent that Michael Penix Jr. is in the pocket. The pocket presence that McCarthy has is nowhere near what Michael Penix Jr.'s is. Penix last week against that Texas front that I think is the best front in the NCAA FBS level. Penix looked really good the way he moved in the pocket, man, and just keeping eyes downfield and making throws.
Yeah,
he's so good at that.
I'm glad you've come around. I will also say Washington has played more close games, and that might be a strength to Washington, because Michigan has played so many blowouts, it feels like, that maybe Penn State, Ohio State, and Alabama, they're only close games this year. I'm not looking at the schedule, I'm just kind of guessing, but Washington seemingly plays a close game every week. So I don't know. Maybe Washington, the cardiac cats of this year, and they kind of pull one out tonight. But I think we've both picked Washington here. Are you going Washington money line as well?
Yeah.
Got the score for me?
What you said, 38-34?
Yeah.
I don't dislike that one, but I'm going to go Washington 30. I do like 38 for Washington. 38, Michigan 28.
Ooh, all right.
Actually, no, 27. I think they get 21.
Couple of field goals.
Kick 2 field goals. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That math checks out.
Sticking with football for a second, but I want to go to Texas Tech in the transfer portal. Another tight end. Safety from TCU.
Yeah.
Tight end from Oklahoma. OU, not just the state. Safety from TCU. Defensive tackle from Nevada. Stack
that one I like.
Stack them up. Who knows? PWO versus scholarship, whatever it is.
I think most of it is PWO now. Yeah.
But the tight end from Aledo. The safety from TCU, originally from Lake Belton, so he remains in Texas. The Micah Hudson effect, I believe, on that.
Former teammate of Micah Hudson, yeah.
So, hey, stacking them up, piling them in. Got a lot of tight ends on the roster. We'll see what happens there. Of course, Baylor
Got
Cup.
at least 7.
Yeah, Baylor Cup moving on.
Yeah.
J.J. Sparkman. I know he wasn't listed as a tight end, but he was used as a tight end. He moved on. What was it? Jason Lines in and
Yeah,
out.
Lines didn't commit.
In
Yeah.
and out.
Yeah.
Didn't stay. But you have Mason Tharp, Llewellyn, and the crew there. Kid from South Oak Cliff. So a couple of tight ends there in the mix. Yeah, you had another transfer in at tight end, so I think 4 or 5 at least there in the tight end room. Use them if you got
them. Use them. Yeah.
I don't know if they've done that as well. No, they're not going to be the new tight end unless they use them. There, Roy says on the storyline chat line. I just you need to be in a position to have a tight end, I guess, and I love the tight end position. I love it when Texas Tech utilizes it. I think they do it really well. They just don't do it nearly as often as I would.
Near enough, yeah.
Uh,
I don't know who would be tight end you, to be honest with you.
Miami has Kellen Moore Jr., Kellen Moore, I believe, and Greg Olson.
Well, Jeremy Shockey too.
Jeremy Shockey.
Yeah.
Getting there. Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa probably with the most. Yeah.
Greg Kittle. And the boys there for Hawkinson, I believe, from Iowa.
Yeah, TJ Hawkinson. Yeah.
I would say Iowa. I think Michigan there for a minute put out.
Yeah, it's probably a couple Big Teners in there.
But
just because the Big Ten stuck with the Power I for longer than most.
Yeah, I think Iowa. Yeah, Iowa's considered tight end.
Yeah, Iowa. Yeah, I would think Iowa. That's a good point. Like linebacker, you used to be Penn State because everybody that played linebacker at Penn State was just a stud in the NFL.
Used to be, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that?
I don't know that it's not that way anymore with James Franklin, but because they're more offensive minded. But
then Ohio State was it for a minute with AJ Hawkins.
Yeah, Ohio State was it for a bit. Yeah, the Big Ten had really good linebackers in that conference for years. Yeah. So the SEC is probably linebacker central now with the way that.
Yeah, I was thinking
all those guys play.
Bama's probably everything.
Yeah. Bama and Georgia's becoming that kind of school.
Yeah.
On defense, just because the Kirby Smart effect. But
let's see. Any other tidbits from college football you want to talk about before we move on to the basketball world?
We could talk about the other national title that was played yesterday. South Dakota State beats Montana. Here's the thing. I love the FCS. I think FCS football is still. And don't get me wrong, I love FBS football. I love the bowls. I love all of this. But FCS football is the purest form of college football that you could find at the highest level, right? Because right now, the FCS is still not affected by – they're not as affected by the transfer portal as much. The best guys at the FCS leave the FCS to go to the FBS out of the transfer portal, yes. But – I love the FCS level because you get the likes of North Dakota State and South Dakota State, and they have some of the coolest stadiums in the country. Montana Grizzly Stadium is, if you haven't ever seen it or haven't ever been, put Montana Grizzly Stadium, Washington Grizzly Stadium on your bucket list for college football stadiums to go see, especially late in the year. If they host a playoff game, Montana is the place to go. It is one of the coolest places I've ever seen. I didn't see a game there, but been able to see the field. It's just awesome. It's a sweet, little stadium. They sit about 28,000 people, and it gets loud, they say. And then obviously the Fargo Dome's cool. But, yesterday's game in Frisco, you're talking about two teams from north that travel all the way to Frisco, and they brought fans, Robbie. They packed Toyota Stadium or whatever it is in Frisco now. I think Frisco does a great job of hosting the FCS national title. The field has gotten better. Nobody's slipping on the field anymore. And South Dakota State's just really good. Montana's quarterback is a Houston kid. You love to see that. But kudos to South Dakota State, back-to-back national titles.
I want more bowls.
It's just fun to watch.
I want more bowls in soccer stadiums.
Yeah.
With 20,000 capacity, sell them out, get you a little more intrigue in there. The atmospheres would be better. Playing surface is big enough there; it's even bigger. You
Yeah,
could
it's even
probably
bigger. Yeah.
start some packages where you can stand on the field because you have so much more room. But I would like to see that more. Austin needs a bowl game there at the
Yeah.
Austin.
Yeah. That's an awesome venue too. Great venue.
Frisco, Kansas City. I mean, there's lots of
Houston has the
Miami.
Houston where the Houston Dynamo play. That's a great stadium for a bowl game. Texas Southern plays their home games at that place.
I want to see more of that. I
Yeah,
like
I agree. Kansas City, you said Kansas City, that's a great place. Orlando's got a brand new soccer stadium. Instead of playing some of those bowl games in those massive stadiums where you only get 18,000 fans, you
yeah.
play it at a place like that. It makes it look and
Yes.
feel
Yeah.
like a bigger game, and the atmosphere is 10 times better.
Yeah.
Um, at a smaller venue. That's the thing, though. Like the New Mexico Bowl, New Mexico Stadium's not great, but it only sits 30,000. They had 22,000 people at it for Fresno State and New Mexico State. It was a great atmosphere.
Would
The New
you rather
Mexico Bowl
have
had one of the better atmospheres in the bowl season.
Would you rather have 30,000 people at a 65,000 seat stadium, or would you rather have 22,000 at a 20,000 seat stadium? I mean,
Yeah,
get out.
that.
Standing room only. Let's do it.
That.
I'm
And
in.
that's what I love about the FCS playoffs, because that's what it is. You're piling 22,000 people into a 20,000 seat stadium, and it is insanely raucous. It's crazy in those stadiums. South Dakota State has one of the coolest FCS stadiums too in the country. Great atmosphere at South Dakota State. It's just a really cool place to go watch a football game. It's outside Montana State, another cool spot to watch. Those Big Sky teams, man. Some of the best football you'll see in the FCS is played up north in the Big Sky, and in the I can't remember what conference North Dakota State, South Dakota, and North Dakota are in, but all of those schools. And North Dakota's got one of the coolest dome stadiums in the country too. They just renovated the Alaris Center there in North Dakota. That place is really nice. You can't beat the Kibbe Dome in Idaho either, because they've dropped down to the FCS level. Idaho State has a cool place. So, yeah, just a lot of cool spots in the FCS. Roy says Eastern Washington, been to that one as well. Cool stadium. The red turf doesn't do it for me, but it's unique. It's cool. It gives Eastern Washington used to be a powerhouse in the FCS level. They've kind of dropped down a little bit in the last few years, but it's fun. I love watching the FCS playoffs. I don't miss games in the FCS playoffs. I'll miss bowl games. I love watching the FCS playoffs. I really do. It just, to me, it's what college football should be. And that's what we're going to get with the 12-team playoff, I think, especially the on-campus games, the first round of the on-campus games, because you're going to have packed houses. You're going to have full capacity, 70,000 screaming fans, and it's going to be a great atmosphere. And I think that's what should be played. I think the bowl atmosphere takes away a little bit from being on campus, because those on-campus games, man, it's just awesome. But I think you have to have the bowl games as the second and third round, and then obviously the other situation where you play wherever they, like the Super Bowl does, and they move around. But
Well, and in that sense, you have the capacity to fill it out. I mean,
right, yeah, you'll fill out every. I mean,
you don't need to have 20,000 seats. You'll fill out the
no,
100,000 seat stadium.
yeah, you'll fill, yeah, exactly.
They're in Indianapolis tonight.
What?
Where are they tonight? Is it the Beach Bowl?
Houston.
Oh, they're in
Argentina.
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't go around a bowl anymore now, because they played. Yeah, so they just pick a site, and I think that's cool too, where you're not. It's just the CFP national title. It's not involved with any bowl game. You've played in your bowl game. Now you get to play for a national title in a different place that's not affiliated with anything else other than the college football playoff national championship game. So,
and we're going. Is that NFL stadiums? I guess we're shifting in there. NRG.
Yeah, and then obviously you play some years they'll play in Pasadena, but it won't be the Rose Bowl. Yeah. It'll just be in Pasadena. You play at
not at SoFi.
You'll play in Tampa. You'll play at SoFi. Yeah.
All right.
I'm sure you'll play in Arizona.
Surely. All these warm.
They had one at Cowboys Stadium that year.
Yeah. Indoor.
So, yeah.
All right, let's talk some basketball. Texas Tech beating Texas. Your thoughts on the game? Joe Toussaint, Pop Isaacs, Warren Washington, the three stars of the game for Texas Tech. Brock Cunningham, the star of the game for Texas, fouling out, no points.
0 points.
Uh, no, really. Tyrese Hunter had a good game. Max Asmus had a good game.
Yeah.
A couple of good performances there. I thought Shedrick was the difference. He had an awful showing, and Warren Washington kind of
Yeah.
dominated him down low. So, thoughts on the game, and then we'll look forward to Oklahoma State.
Yeah. I mean, there were times in that game where both teams, you could see the first game conference season jitters a little bit, especially in the first half. There was a lot of turnovers. It was ugly for a little while. A lot of out of control, missed shots at the rim.
Yeah.
All those things. But Texas Tech hit shots when they needed to hit shots. Texas didn't. If it wasn't for Max Asmus, that game would have been Texas Tech by 20 because he hit some big shots in the latter half of the second half that kept them in the game for as long as they did. Stay in it, and then Texas Tech pulled away just because they hit some big shots. But you have to, if you look at Texas Tech, and I'm pulling up the box score here, I had it, and then I was looking at something else for football. But you look at the box score, and I thought that a couple other guys played roles off the bench, like Robert Jennings played.
Yeah.
Jennings played okay minutes whenever he came in. McMillan played great, I thought, off the bench.
Yeah.
Chance McMillan hit 2 threes, and that's not his game, right? He doesn't normally just shoot threes, but he made 2 big ones.
Yeah,
One whenever you're only up by 2 and he gave you a 5-point lead. Yeah.
Yeah.
So McMillan was big off the bench for Texas Tech. I thought he really gave you a spark when he came in the basketball game. Robert Jennings had to come in because Warren Washington, and we talked about it last week, Robert Jennings was going to play at least 12 to 14 minutes, and he played 12 minutes. And I thought his 12 minutes were, if we're talking plus minus, he was probably in the plus, I would say. It doesn't have it on here in these stats, but he was 2 for 2 from the field, played his 12 minutes, had 5 points, had a rebound, but I thought he played really well down in the paint when you needed him to on the defensive side. I didn't care about the offensive side from Robert Jennings. I just could care less, but he played well on the defensive side. He limited second chance opportunities. He limited easy looks. There were a couple times where Darian Williams got lazy on defense and they dribble drove right by him. But that's going to happen. When you're playing 7, 8 guys, some guys are going to be tired on the defensive end, and sometimes you're just going to give away possessions. If there was any complaint I had, that would be it. On the defensive end, you gave up a couple easy possessions to Texas. But you on the offensive end, I thought you played really well. I thought the ball movement was good. I thought you got good shots. There were some forced shots. I thought Joe Toussaint, where he was struggling early, he was trying to force some things, but he finally got in a rhythm of the game. And he ends up with 15 points where it didn't feel like Joe Toussaint played fantastically well, especially early in the game. He kind of struggled early as far as getting shots to drop. But, man, Pop Isaacs with the 21 points, that's big. We talk about it. If Pop can score 20, you're probably going to win a lot of games.
Yeah.
You have 3 guys in double figures, Pop with 21, Warren Washington with 15, Joe Toussaint with 15. If you can have 3 guys in double figures and Warren Washington play the way he did, and he only had 3 rebounds. Yeah, Joe Toussaint led the team in rebounds with 5, along with Chance McMillan, 2 guards.
Right.
Joe Toussaint's the smallest dude on the floor. He's got 5 rebounds. But that's a lot to do with the big dudes, with Warren Washington and Robert Jennings getting their big guys out of the way for a guy like Joe Toussaint come in, grab a rebound down, and go. I love that, where the point guard can come, grab a rebound down. Now we're in transition, right? That's the way that the game has started moving. I love the transition game from Texas Tech, and I think that Coach McCaslin talked about it after the game. He said as much the same too, is he didn't think they would run as much with Texas, but Texas Tech ended up running quite a bit in that game, especially off of rebounds and missed shots and turnovers. The defensive possessions, so you had hands in passing lanes all night. I thought Pop Isaacs was active on the defensive end, which you love to see. You don't really see that. You didn't see that a ton from him in the non-conference. But he picked it up in the first game of conference play. He wanted to beat Texas, and why not want to beat? If you can still wins on the road in the Big 12, that's huge. That's a big one.
He averages 22 in the Moody Center.
Yeah, he's pretty good in the Moody Center, right?
Yeah.
Texas fans are going to be happy to not see Pop Isaacs in the Moody Center anymore. He loves shooting in the Moody Center. Let's put it that way.
All right. Good game. Good start to the McCasland era. If you need to clean something up, it's rebounding. They dominated
Yeah,
the boards, did Texas. Was it 38-27, 15-4 offensively? That's not good
yeah.
enough.
No,
It
too many
worked
second
out.
chance points. Yeah,
It worked out for you, but I don't think that's a. If you gave those rebound numbers to 10 straight games, I don't think you win 10 of them.
yeah.
Let's put it that way. You probably win maybe 3 or 4. But hey, no nights off in the Big 12, even with Oklahoma State, who, quite frankly, stinks some nights. But then you have a game like Baylor that they had this weekend where you take them to overtime
Yeah.
and a couple of shots not falling away from losing 75-70. They kind of shut down in the last couple of minutes, but they're 8-6. And their wins are like Charleston State and South Carolina State and Wofford and Oral Roberts, who is not
Not Oral Roberts of the past.
no, they are not what they've been in the last couple of seasons.
No, their best scorers
Their
playing at Texas.
their losses are Notre Dame, who's not very good.
Yeah.
Creighton, who is a top 20 team. Southern Illinois, St. Bonaventure,
Goes to
and
Hokies.
ACU. So I don't know. It is what it is. You're looking at this Oklahoma State team. You should be favored when the line comes out. You should win this game, but you've also struggled with Oklahoma State in the recent past. So we'll see how it goes. I would love for Texas Tech to be able to get to 3-0 in Big 12 play. Can they do it? They have a couple at home coming up.
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma State is well coached. Mike Boynton's a good coach. He's one of my favorites in the Big 12. He's done a good job coming into a job that was tough whenever he started because of the scholarship issues and all of that. Oklahoma State is not very good this year. You said it. But in the Big 12, we talked about it on Friday last week. I think there's Kansas, who TCU took to the brink too. Maybe Kansas isn't as good, but I think TCU is a lot better than some people think they could be. They're not ranked in the top 25, but TCU is a good basketball team. Jamie Dixon's a hell of a coach. But Oklahoma State is one of those teams, though, that if you drop your guard and you don't shoot it well and you don't have a good night, they'll beat you. And Baylor almost had that happen to them at Oklahoma State. Now on the road, it's a little bit different. Coming into the USA, I think that the Raider Riot will be in full effect with kids coming back to campus and school starting. So that's awesome. It's good to have that, especially starting conference play up. You'd love to go to 2-0 in conference play, but yeah, Oklahoma State, Javon Small is a good player. I think that I can't remember who led him in scoring, but Small didn't lead him in scoring against Baylor. And against Baylor didn't shoot it well in the first half. And Oklahoma State was able to stick around. And anytime a team at home can stick around, it's going to be tough for the road team. Baylor figured out a way to win, obviously. But, yeah, I like Texas Tech to win at home. And that's what you have to do, Rob. If you can steal wins on the road, you've got to be able to hold serve at home. And Texas Tech has a pretty good home slate this year in the Big 12 to where you can win your 9 games at home. And you can afford to now drop a game at home if it happens, and that game has to be Kansas. You can't drop anything else at home. You've got to hold serve at the USA if you're Texas Tech and want to get into the NCAA tournament. You've got to be able to win at home, and it starts here with Oklahoma State. You can't stub your toe against a team like Oklahoma State with the resume that they have and expect to get in a tournament later, because this would be considered a bad loss should Oklahoma State continue to be the team they have been all year long. Which is just kind of this roller coaster thing. Mainly it's been down here, but some nights they play pretty well.
And they've done that against you in the recent past.
Yes, they've been really good against you in the recent past. For whatever reason, Mike Boynton's figured out Texas Tech, but that was against an older regime. McCasland, I feel like, has this team playing the best basketball that they've been playing all season long. I think they figured out how to play without Devin Cambridge now. Warren Washington, I told you, Warren Washington had to be good, and he had to figure out how to be a big man in this conference. And I think he did that on Saturday night. I think that Warren Washington is starting to figure out the physicality of the Big 12, because it was physical down low on Saturday night. And I thought Warren Washington handled it really well in that basketball game. There was a few times where, they would get second chance opportunities and offensive rebounds, but Warren Washington from behind is blocking shots and making it difficult to convert those second chance opportunities down low. He's going to have to continue to do that. You can't get a guy like him in foul trouble, though, because I don't know that Robert Jennings gives you those good minutes like Warren Washington does.
Yeah.
It hinges on Warren Washington playing well, and it hinges on Pop Isaacs and Joe Toussaint doing their thing. And then obviously getting Chance McMillan off the bench. If he can do what he did, you're going to win a lot of basketball games. But I think if Texas Tech just continues the recipe for what they did in Austin, minus the rebounding, you got to rebound better. Don't turn the ball over as much. You'll be just fine in this conference, and you have to hold serve at home. It just comes down to it. You've got to win at home. Whenever you're in your own field, on your home court, you've got to win. And if you want to be in the NCAA tournament, that's just how it works.
Yeah. Going back to the matchup between Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, the history here, I pulled it up.
Yeah.
2020, you split 85-50 in Lubbock. Boom. Then you lost 73-70 in Stillwater. The following year, you played Oklahoma. You played in Texas first in Lubbock. You lose in overtime, 77-82. Then you get swept in Stillwater in overtime, 69-74. So two really close games. That year sucked. And then you go to 2022. You win in Lubbock, 78-57. You lose in Stillwater, 52-51. Disgusting game.
That was a nasty game. It was so bad.
And then you lose both last season, 68-71 in both contests.
Yeah, you only won 5 Big 12 games, so.
Yeah, but you win those two, you're probably in the tournament.
Yeah, that's true.
Off the bubble. Is what it is, but again, what was that? 6 of the last 8 Oklahoma State has won. And Oklahoma State has not been better than you in any of those seasons, except for maybe one. And you split that year. So, look. Actually, how long ago was there one season? That might have even been before. When was he's with Detroit now? What's the kid's name? Their tournament season?
Likely.
No. The
who you talking about?
Draft pick.
Oh crap.
What's his name? He's in Detroit. They suck.
Detroit stinks. I don't know who plays for Detroit. I don't even think the people in Detroit knows who plays for the Pistons.
They hired his brother so that he would come to Oklahoma State. What's the kid's name?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Oh, don't look it up. We can remember.
Well, I'm going to look it up.
Starting line chat line's got to get it to us. It starts with a C. Chase. Man, what is that kid's name? Or you got it?
I'm pulling it up right now.
I can't believe I can't remember his name.
My phone's not cooperating.
Anyways, he willed them to the NCAA tournament, but I can't remember.
Cade Cunningham. Yeah.
Cade!
From Denton Geyer. Yeah.
Cade, I knew it started with a couple of C's there. Cade Cunningham.
Yeah.
Man, that's frustrating.
Yeah.
That's a bad look for getting names like that. Anyways.
Mitchell Lee texted me and said Cade Cunningham. Thanks, Mitchell.
Well, hit us in the comments section.
He might be away. He might just be listening to it while he's driving or something.
Cade Cunningham. Man, that is
funny. I knew if anybody was going to come through, Mitchell Lee would come through. He remembers names better than I do.
That should be a name I remembered. But anyways.
It's true. And he's a Denton kid, so we should have remembered that real easily.
We really should have. But when did he get drafted? This is so off topic, but when did he get drafted?
2 years, because it was last year the number 1 pick was Wembanyama, so it was 2 years ago that Cade Cunningham was the pick for the Pistons. God, the Pistons are bad.
Yeah. It might have been longer than that.
Maybe 3 years ago? No, because he was playing in no. I don't keep up with the NBA enough to know. Unless they're a Texas Tech guy, I don't keep up with any of it. Or the Mavericks in the playoffs. That's about it.
Yeah, he's been in Detroit for 3 full seasons.
There you go. Okay, so he was drafted in 2020.
Yeah, 2020.
2019. Yeah, 2020.
But he played the. Okay, all right. So it was that Mickey Mouse
Fair
tournament
enough.
I got into.
Yeah.
All right.
Cade Cunningham. I won't forget his name now.
There it is. Cade Cunningham.
There it is. Yeah.
All right. That was way off the reservation. Now getting back to it. Home game. We'll be back on Wednesday to discuss. Do you have a score for the game tomorrow night, Carson?
Texas Tech 72, Oklahoma State 60.
Yeah, that's right on it. I'll go. I think you score a little more. 78, 64. I mean, I think you beat them handily.
Yeah.
You should win by 10 or more.
Handily in the Big 12 to me is 5 or greater because this conference is so tough.
True.
It's so tough.
True.
Like Texas Tech beating Texas by 11 is a blowout.
I would love to see a 30-point Mississippi State victory like you did at USA during that season, or even like you did against Oklahoma State a couple of years ago.
Or on those two
know.
back-to-back big Monday games that you played.
Yeah,
Who'd you play? Iowa State, and Kansas, and you just drubbed them both at home in 2019.
TCU might have been in there too.
Yeah, TCU. Yeah, TCU was in there. I think it was TCU and Iowa State, or TCU and West Virginia, somebody like that. But yeah.
Was that 18, 19? Yeah, whatever it was.
19, yeah. It was the Final Four year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but that's, that's what I mean, though. In that year, you held serve at home. You beat the teams that you should have beat at home, and then you went on the road and you stole a couple as well on the road. So, with that win at Iowa State late in the season, that was massive to wrap up the Big 12 championship regular season, a share of it anyways. But yeah, Texas Tech, they stole one on the road. That's huge. I did not have that in the calendar as a win at Texas. I thought it was too early in the season. I didn't know that Warren Washington was ready for the physicality of the Big 12. I didn't know how the bench would play. I didn't know how Pop Isaacs would play with all the riffraff going on behind the scenes.
Right.
It's a very good win, and kudos to Grant McCasland and Coach Smart and that team for keeping them on task. Right. It was we're going here for one reason and one reason only. That's to win a basketball game. Everybody needs to be locked in, and they were from jump. You were locked in. When Texas got up early in the game, you came back, you got a turnover, you got a bucket. You didn't let Texas run away or do anything like that. And then you end up running away from them at the end of the game because you knocked down shots and they couldn't. You knew Max Asmus was going to get points. He's going to drop shots. That's what he does. He's one of the best shooters that we've ever seen in college basketball. So you knew he was going to shoot the ball, and you knew he was going to go in a couple times. And you withstood all that, and you found a way to win and win handily in Austin. And that's a huge thing. I think that's a huge momentum builder for a basketball team. Now, I don't think it won't propel you to a tournament if you lose a few at home and don't go do anything else on the road. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's not the end all be all winning at Texas. I could care less if you won at Texas and then you win only 5-6 other Big 12 games the rest of the year. It's not good enough. So you've got to use that as a stepping stool and just keep building on top of a win like that and keep playing good basketball and good team basketball. And that's what I think Grant McCasland's message is, that it takes every single person in that locker room, even the guys that didn't step foot on the floor, because you're only playing 8 guys. It's tough to play in this Big 12 schedule with 8 dudes. We'll see how well it works out. And the deeper and deeper you get into this schedule, the more guys you'll probably see get minutes. So it'll be interesting to see, but a big one tomorrow night against Oklahoma State. Every game is a big one in the Big 12. I don't care who it is. I mean, look at what happened. Cincinnati goes to BYU and beats them handily. So, like I said, anybody can beat anybody on any given night. Kansas is the lone exception. I just think they're really good.
And they almost lost to TCU.
They almost lost to TCU, right?
TCU got screwed. The flagrant at the end, and then
that was
non-travel call at the end. Hey, one more question before we get out of here. We're kind of rambling at the end here. Is Texas Tech going to be good in baseball? Yes. And then how is the pitching going to be?
You have arms. Here's the thing. I don't know who's going to be your Friday, Saturday, Sunday guy.
You're
That's
missing,
still up for debate.
yeah, you're missing Mason Molina, who went to Arkansas.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
Uh,
missing a
otherwise,
couple guys.
otherwise, uh, Kyle Robinson.
Yeah. Kyle Robinson's a guy who could be in there. Yeah.
You have a couple of those guys that were hot down the stretch. Then you have a freshman I saw. What was his name? There's a new freshman who's 6 foot plus, like 260, who throws 96 gas. I forgot his name, but I saw
Yeah.
that
There's so many. There's a lot of new dudes.
according to D1 Baseball. I will say this: the Big Lubbock. We will look and prepare a baseball preview probably early February. I think it's a little bit early to be talking about it still, but we'll get into the pitching. I don't want to go off the cuff here and forget names, but Kyle Robinson's going to be good. I'll say that much. And then the bullpen,
Yeah.
you never know till you get into the season, but we can give you some names.
Yeah. I mean, you got Trendon Parrish will be back.
Yeah, but starter or bullpen, who knows?
Yeah, Brandon Lysick's another guy who's back. He's a big left-handed thrower, 6'4", dude's big.
Yeah.
He's probably improved. So it'll be interesting to see who you throw.
Because then you had like Ryan Sublette, who was not good, and then just elite.
Yeah, really good his last year.
Good.
I mean, Ryan Free started a lot of games for you last year. He could be in the starting rotation as well.
Yeah.
So there's options for Tim Tadlock and Matt Gardner and staff. So, but yeah, we'll dive deeper into the baseball stuff the closer we get to the season. But Texas Tech's got an opportunity to be really good on the diamond.
Excited.
They've got an opportunity to be really good on both diamonds, softball and baseball this year. So yeah, it's going to be. We'll preview that, and probably we could try and get our boy Keith Patrick on or something.
Oh, I saw the Lady Raiders too, like second in the Big 12 in attendance. I think that's really special.
Yeah. And that's, kudos to the Texas Tech faithful and fan base and to Krista Gerlich and company for being, putting a good product on the floor. When it's fun to go watch the Lady Raiders play, that puts butts in seats. There's I've been to a game this year, and there's a lot of young ladies who are coming out to watch their idols. And that's cool to see is the younger generation coming out to watch the Lady Raiders play. I think that's big, especially whenever you're in a recruiting battle for the number one player in the country who's right here in your backyard in the class of 2025 next year, and in Aaliyah Chavez. That's cool if you can show her that, and she'll put more butts in seats because she's a Lubbock legend. To have a kid like that in your own backyard, you want her to stay home. That would boost attendance. That would boost your standing in the Big 12, and your ability to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament in the women's game. So
it would certainly be a recruiting coup to get a number one ranked player here in Lubbock.
Yeah, and because she's got offer. I mean, she can go anywhere she wants. She's got the pick of the litter. Yeah. I mean, you want to Louisville, South Carolina, Duke, North Carolina, Stanford, anybody she wants to go play for, she can play for. Yeah. UConn, Tennessee, you name it, she can go to it. So it would be massive for Krista Gerlich to land someone like that. I don't know if it'll happen, but being that high in attendance is big. Who's number one? Iowa State, probably. Iowa State or Texas.
I just saw the graphic from the Lady Raiders put it out.
It might be Baylor too with the new arena opening, but anyway.
I will say this: current Lady Raiders. You're projecting into the future. Current Lady Raiders, 2-1 in Big 12 play.
Yeah. Good start to Big 12 play for them.
Road win in Houston, and then a forgettable game against Texas, and then a win over Kansas. So, hey, it is in the position you're in with the Lady Raiders. You have to beat the teams you should beat, and they've done that so far. Then you got to steal one or two to get into the NCAA tournament. I think they can this year.
In the last few years, they've been stealing a couple games, but losing the games that they should win. So if you can win the games that you're supposed to, steal one or two games that you're not supposed to against a Baylor or a Iowa State, Oklahoma, somebody like that, you could find your way into the NCAA tournament as well for Krista Gerlich, and it would be a long time since the last time you were in the NCAA tournament. So, and I think they have the roster to do it. I really do. I think the women's side has the roster to get themselves into contention for an NCAA tournament bid. They just need to stay the course.
Stay the course. Hold serve. All right. That's all I got. Any final thoughts, final comments, questions, concerns?
No, game tonight in Houston should be fun.
We'll definitely tune in. One final thought, overreaction. Play this on a Saturday.
Yeah.
College football is played all year long on Saturday. Find a way to put the national championship on a Saturday. I don't understand it. Or, on a Sunday. I guess they're avoiding the NFL since the NFL does Saturday, Sunday. You know who's going to watch college football games in that important role? College football fans, NFL fans. Everyone will tune into the national championship. I don't think you're losing anything by playing it on a weekend. It's a miserable experience on a Monday night. Teachers are going back to school. Kids are gearing up to go back to school. It's just a lame Monday night. It should be on a weekend. Play the Super Bowl on a Saturday too. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. If you play the game at 7:00 on a Saturday, the NFL can schedule their games early in that early window. And you're the only, that's why the NCAA wants and the CFP people want to play this game on a Monday, because there's no Monday night football on a game. They want to be the only game in town. Cool, man. You be the only game on a Saturday. But like you said, college football fans don't care about the NFL when the national championship's being played. It's easy to get around it. Yeah, I don't understand it either, why it's not played on a Saturday. But it is what it is. I'm still gonna watch it. Still gonna watch, unless it's in Maction or that Thursday night or Friday night Big 12 game or ACC game.
College football all year long is played on Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Sometimes Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
And then into November, it's played on Tuesdays and Wednesdays.
In the MAC, baby.
You know when it's not played? Sundays, Mondays.
It's a fact.
Except
until the last game of the year.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And they played the FCS championship on a Sunday.
Yeah. All right. Lubbock and Arrow, horns down. All right. Give it to us.
Yeah.
All right. That's a
Instead
good play.
Of peace. That's what we're doing today, right?
Horns down. Focus on Oklahoma State, though.
Yeah.
All right.
Focused ahead.
See you on Wednesday.
Peace.